let's play this clip from Bernie, who, and the premise here is, we just saw Elizabeth Warren, and I don't know, from your perspective, has she gotten better? I mean, look, it's inevitable they all get better.
Yeah.
Although, not necessarily with Biden. I mean, just being honest here, folks. It's true. Biden's not.
Yeah.
He's not.
Go back and watch him in a 2008 debate versus now.
It's stunning. And particularly compared to Warren and Sanders.
Yeah.
I mean, age impacts people in different ways. And I don't know if Biden is older than them or not, but he certainly hit a threshold where it's different. But from your perspective, has Warren gotten significantly better?
I don't know. I mean, she's gotten better at doing that particular TV thing, I guess, right? Because what you were talking about before, where a few months ago no one could quite put their finger on what it was, but they thought she didn't have enough of something. I do think it was because of her background, a professional background in part, where the thing that people were worried about was that she's professorial,
right?
And she has now gotten better at sort of practiced down to earthness.
Right.
That's what I think that she's actually has.
Right. She's translating this stuff that is specific into sort of more general and general notions that capture the experiences of more people.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So here's Bernie Sanders on Morning Joe. I think, was this morning?
This was just on MSNBC yesterday.
And here is... And this, I find this fascinating. I mean, it's part of, and we've been saying this for a while, that Bernie Sanders is talking about not just having the plans, but how to execute the plans in the context of a highly polarized country. No matter who wins, they're still going to be dealing with, I mean, despite the fact that Joe Biden seems to think that it's all going to go away, they're going to be dealing with almost half of the country, which... support the likes of Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump.
The ideas that I am talking about, whether it is taking on the greed and the corruption and the illegal activity of the pharmaceutical industry, whether it is guaranteeing health care to all people through a Medicare for all single-payer system, I think that those ideas are popular. And I think once we rally the American people, which is what I intend to do as president, I'm going to run the presidency differently than anyone else. I'm not only going to be commander-in-chief, I'm going to be organizer-in-chief. We're going to go out to Kentucky, a very, very poor state where people are earning low wages, can't afford health care, can't afford insurance or pharmaceuticals. And we're going to rally the people there to tell their senators to stand with ordinary Americans and not with wealthy campaign contributors.
And I think he... made a point of saying Kentucky, too, because right now there is a protest in Harlan County. I mean, not a protest. It's I guess it's a protest. They are, the miners there have been literally blocking, it's a pretty strong protest, blocking roadways because their company, which is in receivership, apparently is just not paying them their wages.
Yeah.
And
no, I think you're absolutely right. That's why he said it, because his campaign and he are hyper aware of all of these strikes and labor movements happening all over the country.
I mean, it strikes me that Bernie is setting it up, and I had asked him this question when he was on the show shortly after his Democratic Socialist speech. Whatever he's building, he intends to run it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of what happens with this election.
Yeah, I think so.
And I find that...
that was a really interesting... Maybe this is not the correct reading, but it feels like a pretty pointed critique of the Obama administration, right? Which and one of the original sins especially the first term, the massive demobilization of the organization they built. in favor of their sort of inside strategy, right?
Yeah, remind people of that because we have a lot of youngins around here.
The 2008 Obama campaign was a massive grassroots organization. They built this giant list. They could have done so many things with it. And then sort of what happened when they actually got into the White House was they brought in people like Rahm Emanuel, whose strategy was totally inside. He was like, here's our legislative agenda. We're going to get corporate stakeholders on board. We're going to woo congressmen and senators the traditional way. And they let their grassroots organization that they had built their campaign around wither on the vine.
I would even say it more pointedly. They suffocated it.
They did, yeah.
I mean, I think that they were afraid of that existing outside of there. It wasn't just a question of like it was inattention. It was, I think, a deliberate, because you remember in the summer 2008, right after he became the nominee, you remember that word went out to all outside donors: do not contribute to outside groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do not. I mean, it was, and there was. You can find there was a lot of people who were very across the board. All of a sudden, the funding for everything. People who were agitating for Medicare for all was a big thing at that time. Trying to push. There was all sorts of people. Marriage equality, immigration. Mm. I mean, a whole host of different things. And they put out the word: you donate to us. Yeah. You do not donate to them.
Yeah.
And they were very clearly afraid of OFA.
Yeah.
Which was Obama for America, and then became something.
It became
Organizing for America.
Organizing for America. Right.
And it literally just disappeared.
Yeah.
They never ever used it.
Yeah.
And I think that was by design. And Bernie Sanders seems to be saying, like, I don't care who's president.
Yeah. I'm going
to be president, but guess what? That OFA that I'm building, that's going to,
Well, this is what I was sort of alluding to. It's remarkable that his campaign's already doing this by sending, text alerts to people that there's a strike happening. You can go demonstrate in support of it, Like that's only barely presidential campaign politics, right?
Right.
That's just organizing.
Right. I mean, I think there is an argument that it could be detrimental to the campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, you're using resources to organize, but it is certainly not detrimental to being president.
No. Right.
And it is certainly not detrimental towards obviously building an organization that is going to have if handled correctly, is going to have a lot of power and a lot of ability to help or hinder an agenda that the president has.
And so, did you see the New York Times thing with the map of the donors that they just did up a little while ago?
Yes, actually, we just we were just pre-show. We were all just looking at it, and it's
remarkable because not to fall into the fallacy of like geography equals population, but Sanders is all over every corner of the country.
Yeah,
every corner of the country.
Look at this beautiful map I got.
Here, get it. See if you can get it in full size there. Okay, so there it is. The dark red is Beto O'Rourke. That's Texas. The light red is Klobuchar. She's up in Minnesota.
Oh, Bernie went in oil country, North Dakota.
Bullock is doing pretty good in where is he from? Montana, right?
Yeah.
And then you can see Biden. Look at the Biden support. It's just Biden support is yellow, orange, and it literally looks like just the sun froze on the horizon. Like it just crept up and just froze there, and then the world stopped turning on its axis. Buttigieg is doing all right in his part of town. And then it is Sanders everywhere.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Crazy.
California was crazy to me because Harris has a lot of donors and a lot of money, but that's remarkable.
Yeah. It really is crazy. And I don't see Warren has the second biggest
Yeah, and I think
number
so.
of donors.
She's just like, if they have another map where they took Bernie out and it's Warren, it's basically the rest of the map is Warren.
Right.
But he's just like, I mean, he's got double her practically.
Yeah.
Double the number of individual donors practically.
It really is stunning. And now, of course, I guess the other thing you'd want to see is like what does Trump's look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I would also want to see this in terms of like I would love to have seen this graph for Clinton too.
Yeah.
Particularly at this stage.
Right.
Because, the real question is going to be, and let's turn to Joe Biden. Obviously, I imagine, Alex, you watched the debates this week?
I did, yes.
This is, what are we watching here?
This is the go to Joe 303.
Okay. Now, give me your sense of what Joe Biden's performance was in the debate up to this moment.
Like treading water, I think, or like I don't know. Does that seem fair?
Yes. Yeah. I thought it was like shaky in some areas, but would have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Would have forgotten about
like
it.
If he had, yeah.
There was, I think, like the get that Vice thing that they put up. Let's play that one first, because I don't think this gets made. This Vice compilation gets made if Biden doesn't have this problem at the end. Let's play the one at the end first, and then you can play the Vice one. Yeah.
Go to Joe 30330 and help me.
Just go there.
And it was tough, but it wasn't just that too. He had a slip right before that in his closing statement. Go back in that closing statement for a moment. You don't have any time. Just in that, you have the whole closing statement there. You don't in that?
No, I just have the Joe 303.
He had a slip in there too, and then I think that becomes, in some respects, the narrative.
Yeah.
The rest of the stuff. We'll pull it up. And I'm curious as what your sense is. Like, I have not had the time to watch the here's this. This was by was this the Vice one? Oh, these are the full closing marks. Okay, here it is.
I'm going to lead this country because I think it's important we restore the soul of this nation. This president has ripped it out. It's the only president in our history who has equated racist and white supremacist with ordinary and decent people. He's the only president who has engaged and embraced dictators and thumbed their nose at our allies. I'm secondly running for president because I think we have to restore the backbone of America, the poor and hardworking middle-class people. You can't do that without replacing them with the dignity they once had. Lastly, we got to unite the United States of America as much as anybody says we can. If we do, there's not a single thing the American people can't do. This is the United States of America. We can do anything if we're together. So God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Wait, that was it? That couldn't have been it, because he didn't do the Joe 303. Well, nevertheless, but you saw that was from the Daily Caller, right? And this gets to the point, is that he's going to go up there, and Donald Trump will mock him for that.
He will, yeah.
And it also has me a little bit concerned, because I have seen footage of Joe Biden in the past, and he may say ridiculous things.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that fumbling as much.
No, that delivery. Like he's, usually he's very confidently saying foolish things.
Right, exactly.
I mean, what actually kind of bugged me after the debate was done was I noticed that, but it felt like no one wanted to talk about it on CNN. Like maybe just because they all had their sort of pre-baked takes, and they had to get their sort of the takes they had developed before the debate started. They had to sort of get those out there. But I don't know. It felt like it should have been mentioned how shaky that was.
Yeah, I was.